Again, welcome. It is the 19th of November, almost to that Turkey Day for people in America. But overall, in general, it's going to be the one, the only L3RD saying hello to you all. It is a week for a lot of people in America to have time to get off for schoolings, have time to go play some League of Legends, have time to raise some elo since Season 2 just finally ended only about, what, 3 days ago, 4 days ago maybe, but it was a really awesome time. Hopefully you got your little placards, hopefully you got your Victorious channel on, but otherwise, if you didn't, well, we're going to secure that little thing for you just in case it happens again for you to get there. But first, we're going to be talking about, the changes that are happening right now in League of Legends that are really, really important. But first and foremost, we're going to be talking about, the awesome people at D-eSports.com. They help us out create this whole little platform for me, L3RD. But check them out. Check out their coverage that they did for another game called StarCraft 2, all the World Championship stuff on d-esports.com slash all the Reddit revs, and you can all see that and everything like that. It's pretty cool, pretty popular. Otherwise, also check out the sponsors below: X&G, Mad Cats, Triton, and Tech and BenQ. Very awesome people that help us out, create a lot of the content we can do today just for you all. So do that, check it out. But first, we are going to be checking into the awesome page of changes. Changes are coming in through the new season of Season 3. And unfortunately, it is kind of reminded us of Season 1 as well, if you want to even go to that far. I mean, we have the mastery changes, you have the jungle change, you have so many new items, just so much information to hold, even for casters, because we have to learn 500 new items and all their descriptions and stuff and how it actually works out. Just a lot of stuff and a lot of cool things are going to be happening in the game of League of Legends that is going to make a new, a fresh, awesome little thing come into fruition. War Season 2, yes, it was a really cool, exciting little change, and yes, we got a little bit of differences in choices and masteries, choices and items per se, but it got a little stale, I'm not gonna lie, by the end of it, just because, yes, there's a lot of counter jungling, yes, there's a lot of people just controlling buffs, and it really, I mean, yes, it was still competitive, and yes, it was really fun to watch, but it wasn't really the spectator sport to really get into, just because there is a lot of things you can already pick off and already tell what would happen, albeit M5 versus um, M5 versus CLGU, or CLGU versus Azuba Frost for the Azubu or the OGN championships. I mean, there's like little instances where Psyche kind of overcame play, but still there was a lot of things that happened during Season 2 that you could have guessed that it would have happened. But the first things first, we had to check out all the new changes, right? There's so many things to really look into. The first thing I'm going to do is give you a little quick rundown. I don't think so. I'm trying to log in. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to get logged in, sadly. But I was going to try to check you log in and stuff like that. But we're going to go check through the mastery pages real quick. The masteries have changed over, where the attack tab has a little bit more into attack speed. You have that attack damage deadliness right there in the middle per se, but other than that, Havoc's now on the left side, so it increases more of, well, it can go either way. You don't need to go through AP to go Havoc. Otherwise, the offensive tree pretty much the same except for Frenzy. That's a really cool ability, and I think the Spell Blade ability is very, really cool. The defensive tree, not too much different, but it utilizes health more in the beginning. Then you can have the resistances, armor, and stuff, which was in Season 1 something of a numer. Like, you could have the armor's resistances from the beginning. You can have the 80 damage from the beginning, or AP damage. Now they're changing it up so they can have attack speed first, and you can have health first, which is a really good change per se, because you don't want to just have extra damage and stuff, and kind of what led to Season 2's, at least for the 80 carry side, a fall down. If you didn't want to go attack armor pen, you didn't have to, and you just had to stack up attack damage, and you just stack up attack damage for the whole days of life. So I mean, it's a really good change. I like that little change. They changed for the utility tree movement speed down to the first tier level, while you have that mana regeneration stuff like that on the second tier, which is really cool. I like that as well. But other than that, just usual same stuff for utility. I would go into it a little bit more. And I mean, the video is going to show you a little bit, but I'll go into the next episode. Hopefully, I can get signed into PvE so we can actually explain it. But that's just a really quick look of PvE's mastery page. Mastery page, just albeit. There's other things like the new HUD slash the game shop, which is all different, which you can see right here, which I'll go into in the next episode as well, because um, going through that little piece of work of awesomeness to the shop is very hard. Very, very, very hard. But I mean, it's just a really interesting way of saying League of Legends is new. League of Legends is a new game, and we are, trying to change it up for the better. And we are changing it to the point where we're going to add a lot of new things, and you guys are going to like it. So we're going to go into a game right now in PvE status. This is a recording from the PvE, I think like 2 days ago or something like that. They haven't really changed anything too different from anything. First things we're going to first notice is Machete's Blade. Or Hunter's Blade. Hunter's Machete, sorry. That's a 80 item. I don't know why it's on Fiddlestick, but it is on Trundle, which is very useful. It's pretty much the new jungler items. There's 3 new jungler items. Definitely a really cool item is the Hunter's Machete. It builds into that Wriggle's Lantern, so you can go use that to help yourself out. Gives you that 10% extra damage dealt to monsters, but also gives you some damage as well to the true damage as well to the monsters as well for anything. So it'll help you clear a lot faster per se. Fiddlesticks, he doesn't buy it right now, but he buys it a little bit later. It's the Spirit Stone, which is the equivalent of the AP Bruiser part of it. You can get that health regen, you can get that mana regen, but you also get that Butcher's passive, which is 10% more attack damage on monsters as well. Anyway, so there's usually the thing that we always think of is, well, I want to get buy some items, I want to go buy some wards and such, right? Well, in this instance right now, the awesomeness of Blitzcrank right here, sorry, Blitzcrank has a thing called the Explorer's Word. You didn't see it probably in the Mastery Tree because it was pretty fast and it went by pretty fast. But in the Mastery Tree, you can actually get and then tame a extra ward for yourself in that utility tree. Very cool stuff that Mr. Zhao has right now. And it's a ward that lasts only for 60 seconds, but it's a free ward. So it's a really good thing, but also it also denies invading or helps evading as well, because it is a really short ward, but then again it's a free ward that you can use to pretty much get through one of these entrances in the brushes. Let's say you're on your blue side trying to invade to red, you can get a red ward onto here, one of those like little entrances spots where they usually invade onto, so that you can defend yourself from invade. So again, trying to deny you from that level 1 fight and invade is really good. So having that Explorer's Word is very, very cool and niche. But the other thing that Mr. Zhao also has is the Crystalline Flash. Crystalline Flash, it's a item that gives you health and mana regen, just like health and mana pots. But the biggest thing about it, it restores itself every time you go back to base, and every time you do, you get a 3 charge, which is awesome. You get your health back and your mana. Only 100 health, 50 mana, so it's not the greatest of stats. But you have free health and free mana. It's gonna lessen the load of actually buying health pots and or mana pots if you're at the mid lane. But also it'll lessen the load of actually having that extra, 2 item slots just for 1 slot, which is really cool to see. And it can be utilized more in mid lane. It's definitely going to be utilized for that bottom lane, with also the support and also the AD carry just taking it down easily for themselves. So I like the changes to that. I feel like Crystalline Flash again is a thing that old MOBAs used to have. They had like this charge center where they could actually hold on to more health pots and such like that. So I like what they're going with that. It's a really, really interesting idea, and it leaves a little bit more room for yourself just in the end of things when you need to have those pots and stuff gone. So you don't have to keep on rebuying, and you for a 250, I think is the cost. 250 item cost. It's not that bad. It's actually really good to just go into. So there's 3 items alone. The Sightstone. Sorry, we'll get to Sightstone in a second. Um, Machetes or Hunter's Machete, the Spirit Stone, which is what we see right now Fiddle having. So Fiddle has his version of the AP jungle item. The Explorer's Ward, or just wards in general, and also onto the Crystalline Flash. Those are the 3 items that you'll see a lot more of in the early game, and it's gonna be hard to say that your early game is gonna be really definitely like super important, especially level 1. Level 1 is gonna be super important because most people who are not gonna be able to understand the shop or get used to the shop are gonna be like, oh, what does this do or what does that do? I.e., don't actually go ranked on the first day of Season 3. It changes if they have actually played Season 3. Because it's going to be different, per se. Like, we saw the UI just a little bit from the little YouTube video, like, splash screen. It's a lot harder to navigate, per se, if you're not used to it. If you played Dota, if you played Han before, it's about the same. But if you have not played those things, it's a lot different to navigate. So really cool to see that coming out from League of Legends. The changes just from like normal tabs into where items are to where you can slice it out, where you can press attack for the attack tab, but also put it onto a critical strike. So you can look for just items with attack and critical strike, or you can look for items with mana regen and attack damage, which would be like Tiamat or something like that. So overall, in general, really cool stuff coming out from League of Legends in Season 3. Pretty much just changes in general. I mean, there's more things that we'll go into, especially the jungle change, especially, sorry, really quickly, the ramp changes as well. Really cool to see that they changed the outlook of League of Legends map system as well. Like a closer ramp over here, closing off some of these walls so that some of the jumps people can't do more often. And so i.e. Versa over here too, with the dragon over here and the close-off pit a little bit more over here. It's really interesting to see that League of Legends is really changing it to the better. Slash Riot Games is changing it for the better, per se, to make it more interesting and never stagnant in the game where, you know, MOBAs, I mean, it's usually the same thing. You just kind of fight, kill, take towers, take wins, and try to just be the best. I mean, the only real reason that we keep getting into League of Legends more often times than not is for the competition to be better, competition to have it have the best in the world. And with on top of that, you have this new change to make yourself better. I mean, a lot of the new players and a lot of the casual players, it'll hurt them just a little bit more because it's a lot different for them. But for all the competitive players as well, it'll give them a fresh and new look onto something that's very familiar to them. Very familiar to them. So really cool to see that. We could be talking about also the Nami changes, but I don't really do champion previews. I'll give my 2 cents on Nami though. Nami's a really good support champion, has really good AP ratios. Her Q's missile speed is a little slow, I would like to say. Her utility though, as her W is Surging Tides. Has that ally heal, but it does do damage as well. It's a really interesting kind of thought. The only problem is the mana cost, I think it's about 90, is that right? About 60 right now. It's a little high for my taste. I would like to say it could be a little bit less, but yeah. It's really interesting of a champion. I like the Rolling Tide, her ultimate ability as well, but overall she's a decent support, like how Lulu was. She was a decent support technically, but she has some really high AP ratios as well. So we might be seeing some of the pros use her as a mid lane or a top laner for some reason, just trying to troll out and win out that way. Just because I think her highest ratio on her, I think her E right now is a 0.9 ratio, which is a pretty big one, 90% ratio. That's what I meant. But overall, in general, just a little look into the new changes of Season 3. Again, Crystalline Flash is a good item. Alyssa's Miracle has been changed just a little bit. But just notating the little like big items that we're going to have to change from the start. I think Sightstone finally got picked up. Sightstone is a free ward system pretty much now. You start out with 4 wards and then you can only lay down 2 from that Sightstone. but overall in general that's just free stuff as well. And again, another free item slot for you to use to actually abuse a little bit later on if you need to, or if you want to buy more wards, you can buy more wards. It's really interesting to see the changes in the early game. It's because technically in solo queue and technically in the game of League of Legends, your early game really sets up your mid to late game. And if you have a really great early game, you can minimize a lot what's going to happen in the mid to late game if you kind of throw or so. And if you can minimize your costs even more so in the early game, not buying more pots, not buying more wards, just buying one item that just does all the things and you don't have to buy any more, it's a little dangerous, and it's a really cool thing to see happen for League of Legends, but also for the competitive scene, because you know what? Economy, money management, all that goodness is really needed to just get that competitive edge and competitive advantage. And for those who get to learn about Crystalline Flash, get to learn about the Biscuit, get to learn about the Explorer Ward a little bit earlier, they'll have that upper advantage over most other teams. So yeah, that's just a quick look into Season 3's little item preview slash everything about Season 3. Again, we're going to be going into a lot of the item deaths and item changes and stuff like that, but overall just the thoughts of what's going to happen when you're going to be changing up your item builds. Because your item builds are going to be different. I mean, you can go standard Season 2 item builds, but it's not really, I would say, the best of ideas. I would say there's other ideas that you can do to make things different. And we're going to be looking especially at that bottom lane with a new item called Renan's Hurricane. So don't you fret, don't you worry. Yes, it is L3 already, and we are going to be starting out part 2 just soon enough. Again, guys, if you want to get into the PBE access, they do only have the openings for signups on the first 3 days of the month, and technically I think they're actually closed off for sign-ups right now for actually a while. So if you can get in there, get in there. If you can't, well, unfortunately, you can get your information from us over at Definitive Esports, but any other streams that are doing it, all the teams are doing it as well. So we're going to try to get you as much as we can so that you guys can be prepared for that move into Season 3. So don't you fret, don't you worry. Part 2 will start up soon.